I am Benay Dara-Abrams, and I live in Berkeley, and I am the lead link for the Great Work Cultures Big Tent Initiative, and I have a background in collaborative technology and e-learning, and bringing people together to change the norm for work cultures to a norm that includes respecting and empowering everyone in the workplace. We're trying to highlight the work cultures that are respectful and empowering, and really change the norm so that people can go into work expecting to be in a place where they're treated like an adult, and where there's an attitude of respecting people, working together, co-creating, and really being like we are in our private lives, where we are in charge and we know what to do. We work together. And what we'd like to do is be like a river and have all these different groups and individuals and networks. All of us get together and feed into a movement that picks up speed like a river, gets stronger and stronger, and picks up strength so that this change becomes inevitable. Well, I was born in Princeton, New Jersey, and had the good fortune to have a family friend, and he lived kind of up the street and behind my grandparents' house, and my grandparents just lived a block up the street. And my parents had fixed up this old house, and so I was allowed to walk up the street behind my grandparents' backyard. I could go over to play with the person I called Uncle Al, because in Princeton, growing up in the 50s, the way to be polite was to call somebody uncle or aunt. You didn't call them doctor or Mrs. or professor or whatever, and you didn't call them by their first name. That was not that when you were a kid. But you could call them uncle even if they weren't related. And he was very welcoming, and I loved math and puzzles. I always liked to do math and puzzles. And so I'd go over and knock on the door, and I'd say, can I play? And then he'd pull out some puzzles, and we would just sort of do stuff. And the thing that was really fun was that he had so much patience, and it wasn't rushed. Like other adults were like, okay, let's get this done. Or they would have something very specific. He didn't have a specific agenda. It was just being curious and being creative and being open. And I just thought this was wonderful. I just was like, here's this adult who I can go and talk to and play with puzzles. And we also had a place my parents bought that year that I was going at the shore, we call it, in New Jersey, on Long Beach Island, and he came down. I remember playing there too. And I do have pictures. Here's one picture, actually. And my dad had a whole lot more. I have in a box somewhere, so I'll have to dig that. I asked my dad afterwards. I went on and became a computer science major, and I realized quite a bit later, after he died when I was 7, I asked my dad, I said, why didn't you tell me that Albert Einstein was famous? And my dad said, well, why should I? He was a friend. And that really struck me. He's like, well, would you act any different? And I was like, and I paused, because I was old enough at that point to kind of think about, well, would I act any different? I was respectful, but I didn't bow down in a way that I kind of thought afterwards, oh, maybe I should have. Maybe I should have acted a little bit more like in awe of him. And I didn't. But he wasn't somebody who acted like I should treat him that way either. And that was, I think, part of his gift, was that he was very welcoming. He might be playing the violin when I walked in. He might be doing something. And he just was like, I'm here. Let's do something. It wasn't like you had to make an appointment and you had to say, I am serious, I am worth your time. And I just found that so open, so welcoming. And what it did for me was made me feel like really accepted and really respected myself. And it encouraged my creativity and curiosity, and made me feel like, oh, here's an adult who treats me like I am a real person, Like I could be taken seriously, I could say anything, and I could be thoughtful, and who wants to engage with me. And that is very powerful because it's like a real way of saying, of really saying, you are a person here, and you deserve my time, and I want to be with you here, and and let's play, and that we can learn from playing. We can learn from this openness. But when he was there, he was present. He was engaged, and he was like, "I'm here, and let's do something together." And that was very powerful too, because it was like, okay, if we're going to really interact, you and I, then it really helps to be really present. What was interesting was a very strong focus, and at the same time, this lightness. And this playfulness with the level of engagement that I didn't see with a lot of people. So it's interesting, because a lot of times I find focus is like full frontal assault. I'm going to sit in front of my computer, I'm going to solve this problem, right? And it doesn't have a playful energy. It doesn't have that kind of like, oh, we could try this. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try that. Ooh. And with Uncle Al, it was that kind of like lightness, and there was a result. We actually did solve problems, really, and I was like, oh. So I think about that sometimes when I get into my full frontal assault. I am going to solve this problem, kind of this way you're supposed to do it in school or as an adult or something. And I think, hey, maybe that other approach actually bears more fruit. And maybe that's part of that, having that really engaging kind of environment that we all really like in our work. That's when we're on, that's when we're flowing. There was a real state of, I think about, Haley Csikszentmihalyi's flow. And I was like, well, we were definitely in a flow state. And he just knew exactly what to do to get into that. And it's this level of kind of lightness and not taking it all seriously, but on the other hand, being really present, which is, to me, taking it seriously. And when I've been in that kind of problem-solving state, I feel like I have been able to recapture that kind of feeling, that kind of really engaged and playful. Creative, really getting juicy. The issue that I've had often, though, is that that's been sort of hard for me to do in front of other people, because somehow I sort of felt like that wasn't appropriate. That wasn't serious enough. And it's interesting recapturing that now and talking about it now, because that is when I am the most productive. And when I model that, as a manager and as a leader, people like that about me. I mean, they really do. And they get attracted to that energy. They're like, oh, this sounds like fun. And I talk about when I wear Velcro on my sleeve, and I'll get really excited about something, and somebody's standing next to me, like when I'm talking about great work cultures, and they're standing next to me, and they connect because I got my Velcro on. And it is that exact same energy that I had when I was sitting at Albert Einstein's house. It's the same. It's this kind of playful, young, it's not this like, oh, we have a problem here, let us, and yet in my career, and I think particularly being a woman in technology, and one of few women managers, I felt somehow that I would be taken less seriously if I acted that way. So what I tended to do was sort of do that kind of playful problem-solving, kind of real engaged, real flowing, but feeling still lighthearted about it. That kind of curious engagement. I would tend to do that by myself, like take work and go work on the beach, because that would bring it out. And dance, like solve problems when I'm dancing. But I didn't want to tell other people, because I thought they won't take me seriously. and it's interesting because I I find that that is actually the most powerful. That is the best part of me. That is when I am on. That is that energy that people actually get into too. When I do that, then it's like, oh wow, something's happening here. But I have to trust that. I have to trust that, and I have to trust that other people aren't going to go, what the hell is she doing over there? No.
Wow.